I had an agent legitimately tell me to never contact him or his company again.
Welcome to the Next Level Journalist, where you will hear from some of the best journalists in the business or who have been there, done that, and willing to share with you what they've learned so you can get better, faster.
My guest today is someone I've known since my West Texas days, 2008, 2009. And even though he was at a competing station, him and I became good friends. And he's actually our first meteorologist on here. And you, the viewer, will understand that as you listen to this conversation, why he is our first. So Trent Magill, thank you for making time for this and what you're about to share with us, because I have no doubt people are going to walk away from this thinking, you know, this is a meteorologist that we just listened to, but I'm glad I listened to this guy because he's been there, done that, and still doing it at a high level.
Good. Man, I'm so glad you invited me to come do this. I know being the first meteorologist, we're all in the same business, whether it's weather, whether it's sports, whether it's reporting. I mean, we're all in front of a camera, talking on a microphone, telling a story. So just telling it with whether it's scripted or unscripted, or if you know what you're talking about or don't know what you're talking about, we're still getting it done, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, part of the reason, like your personality, like anybody that does weather, you know, you have to have some sort of personality. If you're going to stand out, be different. And you are clearly just that. And your track record proves it, as you've been able to, you know, climb market sizes and do what you do. But you just mentioned the unscripted. I love that word, because if I were to describe you, it's unscripted. I mean, you are always on, like, so witty. So, and we'll talk about, you know, that stuff, that how you've developed that type of, that skill, if you will, throughout this. So let's get an idea of, you know, when this journey started for you, you know, what got you interested in this career, when it got you interested, where you went to school, and just get us up to date with what you're doing.
All right. I will, I'll start it in like fourth grade, fifth. I'm just kidding. I won't start that young. So realistically though, like growing up as a kid, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, in Missouri, in, you know, Tornado Alley. We had a house on top of a hill in the middle of nowhere. And on top of the hill, my dad and I built a deck on top of the roof. So you could see like 20 miles in all directions. You could see, you know, county over and everything. So we'd watch storms as a distance. As a kid, I had no clue what was going on or what they were or how dangerous and how terrible of an idea that actually was. But my dad was a plumber. Weekends, holidays, spring breaks, I was a plumber. College vacations, college weekends, summer vacations, I would go home and be a plumber. I had full intention on me being like a plumber until I just kind of fell into it, honestly. There's Glenn Zimmerman. He's the morning meteorologist in St. Louis. And we had a job shadowing day. And I was in high school, and they said, you can go shadow anybody. You get out of school for a day, but it has to be somebody you don't know. Deal. Day out of school, I'm going to call this guy up. And again, I graduated with like 100 people. Like it was a small school, small town. So I called up this TV guy, this dude on TV that, I mean, I thought I knew him. He answered the phone. Hey, good morning. This is Glenn. I hung up the phone because I freaked out. I was like, oh man, he answered. What? Anyway, I called him back and I was like, he said, good morning, this is Glenn. I said, you know, hi, my name's Trent, yada, yada, yada. I told him the whole story. I want to come up and job shadow you. He said, cool. I'll see you, you know, whatever day we pick. Fell in love with it. It was awesome. I met him up in St. Louis, like this little, you know, country town boy, going up into the big city. Fell in love with it, honestly. It was really cool. Figured out what I needed to do. And I was like, what is this? I got to go to college? I mean, we don't go to college in Peevely. We just follow our parents, which I have full intention on doing. Ended up going to Mizzou. It was the only school in the state with meteorology that wasn't like a private school. Like I couldn't afford to go to SLU, St. Louis University. So I went to Mizzou. Didn't want to do TV. Realized when I was at school, because I didn't do journalism. I didn't do any journalism like writing or editing or shooting or anything. I just did the science behind storms, how they work. And I realized that the people on TV have no clue what they're talking about. I was like, man, I don't want to do this TV stuff. I just want to chase storms. Long story short, I chased storms for a few years, decided that TV was the way to go. If you know something's going to happen, if you know storms are going to be popping up, that's where you want to go. You want to tell them where the storms are. Storm chasing is a reactionary thing, not a proactionary thing or proactive thing. Like there's no warning people in storm chasing. You're just saying what's happened. I wanted to warn people. So got an internship in Missouri at KMIZ, and then it needed to be full-time because working for $5.50 an hour wasn't cutting it. Just doing the weekends. So I made a little bit more when I went to West Texas at KMID, and I did mornings there. So that was full-time. So that was good stuff. And then was there for 3 years. And then Mark Johnson in Cleveland. I got an agent who, like how agents work is like, if you do it right, they don't get paid unless they get you a job. Like that was the way like our little contract was structured. Like I wasn't going to pay this lady unless I got a job like that was, you know, making more than the poverty line. So,
Right.
so I signed with her, and she was like, I'm going to send your stuff to Cleveland. At the time it was like market 17 or 18. And we were in market, what, 150
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sure. Whatever. It's pointless. They're not going to call back. And sure enough, Mark Johnson, who's my chief in Cleveland, called me back, and he was like, hey, we've got a position opening up in 6 months. Can you stall your station? Because the station there wants to sign you to keep you there. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I can, sure. Yeah. He goes, we're going to hire you here. You just got to bear with me. Trust me on this. And I said, okay. When I stalled, ended up going up for an interview a few months later. It was wild, you know, going from market 150 to market 18, I think it was at the time. Like, it's just, the people there have been in the business for 40 years at the same station for 20 years. I mean, these people are, I mean, they're just, everything's so polished. Everything's just, it's just, microphones still get cut. Like batteries still die, lights still burn out, teleprompter still goes out, but it's how you react to it. And you can only learn that by messing up. And it's like that West Texas, like the whole me messing up nonstop, I think prepared me for Cleveland. Because on my interview, I didn't bring my IFB, the headphone that we all wear. I just forgot it in Texas. So I had to use like a loaner one that was like nasty and like shove it in my ear. It was disgusting. So I put it in, it fell out during my interview, and I was so nervous to like put it back in. I just left it out and just did my thing. And then as I like was walking back to the desk, I put it in, and the lady that was directing at the time, her name is Meredith. She goes, go sit anchor left, while I was still talking, walking back. So I went and I sat anchor left. She goes, no, the other anchor left. I was like, man, I'm an idiot. Like still ad-libbing. And I go back and I sit in the other chair. She goes, scoot your chair in a little bit before I pop you guys up, while I'm still ad-libbing about random weather that I have no clue what's going on. So I go down. She goes, scoot it up a little bit higher. And I was like, okay. So I scooted it out. They're just messing with me the whole time to see if you can roll with the punches. See if you can deal with an IFB falling out. See if you can deal with cameras moving and lights going out. So literally, that's really the only difference between the big markets and small markets is you learn how to deal with stuff that is going to happen in the big markets anyway. That was a long-winded question, or answer rather. I'm going to go quickly from here on out. I was doing weekends there, and then I was at the end of a contract there, planning on staying in Cleveland. And then, you know Michael Spencer? He was in Knoxville at the time. He calls me, he says, hey, we got a morning position here, a weekday morning position. I know you're wanting to stay in Cleveland, but this is like a weekday, like a Monday through Friday, full-time. Like you're going to get some more reps here. I know Cleveland, you're only working the weekends, only doing a couple shows. I was like, all right. So I sent out a tape, interviewed there, and they were like, we want you. I said, cool. I'm in Cleveland right now. And they're like, we need you like in like 3 weeks. Okay. So went back, told my station I was out the door in like 2 weeks, 2 week notice. Left, came down to Knoxville. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know anything about Knoxville at all. Fell in love with it. Knoxville's beautiful. If anybody's been to East Tennessee, anybody's been to the Smokies, you know, it's incredible. We bought a house. We had a long-term plan there. And then as about a month before I was going to sign another, like a long-term extended contract in Knoxville, about a month before then, I start getting phone calls from Cleveland saying, our morning person's leaving. We want you back. Well, you can't come back. Who comes back to a TV station? That's not real life. They're like, just come up here. I said, okay. Came up for an interview. The news director was like, you're not my guy. But people here like you, so come on up for the interview. I did the audition, like the on-camera audition or whatever. And he's like, all right, now we got to talk. I guess this is why they want to bring you back up here. You're kind of likable. So, and then the rest is history from there. It was like, we need you back in 2 weeks. I was like, well, I got a month left on my contract in Knoxville. And they're like, well, then come back the Monday after that's out. So we moved over the Christmas and New Year's week and started January 3rd, essentially, like right after it. So, and then I've been here for 2 years, man. So just gotta be ready
to go from West Texas, and I'm sure people already picked up on this, from market 150, whatever, to the teens that's literally unheard of. So, and again, part of the reason you're on here. So it's not a mistake that Trent is my first meteorologist. The dude is educated. He's got all the seals that you need, the certifications. I don't know that weather stuff, but I know he's qualified. The guy's qualified. He wouldn't be on.
I got all those seals.
He wouldn't be on here if I didn't think this guy knew his stuff. So, and clearly, like you said, he's a likable guy. People want him around. I mean, if people are searching you out, you must be doing something right. So, Trent, what are you doing right? What is it that you think has helped make you as successful as you are? Again, that's not just a coincidence that you go from Midland, Odessa to Cleveland to Knoxville, and then Cleveland, like pulling at you to get you back. Yes, you're likable. I can attest to that. But what do you think, separates you?
It's being real. You can't be somebody else. You can't talk with a different voice on air as you do off air. You can't hide yourself, because it will come through. I thought at first on TV, like I needed to be a meteorologist. I need to prove that I'm smart enough, that I'm here and I know what's going to happen. You don't have to use big words if that's not in your natural vocabulary. Talk how you talk. I mean, I get it. If you want to work like in the North, like up in Boston, you're going to have that Boston, that accent, but I don't think you need it nowadays. I mean, I've never like worked in Boston or whatever, but I don't know that viewers will not trust you if you don't sound like you're from Boston. And same thing in the South. If you have a voice that is natural, do it. Just be that voice. Whatever's coming to your head, say it. Like if you try to be funny and you're not funny, you're not going to be funny. If you try to be serious and you're not serious, then you're not going to be serious. If you've got ranges, go through ranges, show emotions, be yourself. I remember Horace Brown on my interview in Midland. When I got out of the car, when he dropped me off at the airport, some quarters, some change fell out of my pocket. And I didn't realize it. So when I got back to Missouri, I had an email from Horace, and he said, yeah, thanks for coming down. I'm going to talk with my bosses and stuff like that. We'll let you know tomorrow. By the way, you left 52 cents in my car seat. And I responded, and I said, yeah, thanks, man, but I'm going to need that 52 cents back. Let me know what your bosses say. And he said, at that point, like, how do you respond to like a future boss? Like, can you mail me those 2 quarters, like that change? He was like, that's when I realized that, like, doesn't matter who you are. You're going to talk to me the way you talk to me, no matter what. Like, there's a general respect for everybody, essentially. Yeah. I mean, you got to be yourself.
No doubt, you are the person that's on this that was back in Midland, Texas. I know it takes people time to figure out who they are on TV, but you have something about you just that, that you just look comfortable. And that person that we see on TV, that's you. I mean, from the guy that I used to hang out with after work to the guy we played flag football with to, Trent was where he was. So, how do you develop that? Like, again, it seemed natural to you, though. It seemed natural, and it seems like you had instincts to ad-lib and all that stuff. But how would you advise people on, look, this is how you work on these skills, that are transferable from everyday life to stepping in front of the TV? Is there something that you practice to get to that point? Or what would you advise others to do? Like, hey, try these things to help you get better at just being yourself, or, what it takes to be good at what you do.
So inevitably with time that will come. Nobody's like just great when they first start. There's a couple, I guess, but nobody normal just starts out being comfortable on camera. I mean, before my first show in Cleveland, my chief handed me the clicker and said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Absolutely." He goes, "Cool. There's 3.5 million people watching you. Cue." And I was like, "Okay, here we go. This is it. Like, now I'm on live TV." Shit. Honestly, you just got to do it. Like, make yourself uncomfortable. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and it makes handling that stuff easier. Talk to everyone. Talk to anyone. I had a mentor back in at Mizzou that said, just when you're driving, read billboards. Just read them. Just talk. I had another one who said, who told me I mumbled a lot. So to help mumbling, listen to Eminem. He raps fast. Learn his words and rap fast with him. Like, learn all the words. Weirdly enough, I know all the words to all the Eminem songs up until like the last couple albums. Like, and it's just from listening to him all the time. And that was my warm up driving to work in Texas, was me just driving down 2 a.m., just rapping Eminem as loud as I can, just trying to get my mouth warmed up and stuff like that. I still mumble. You're never going to be perfect. Nobody's ever going to be perfect at speaking perfectly and enunciating perfectly.
Right.
There's little tricks. I had a consultant in Cleveland who told me I have no idea how to breathe. And I was like, "Bro, I've been breathing for like 30 years." But there's a right and wrong way to breathe, to breathe correctly and like modulate the air that comes out of your mouth, and to use your head as like a megaphone as opposed to just use your mouth, because your head will. Singers know how to like breathe and like let voices open your vocal cords and let stuff come out. I don't know what it is. I took a couple classes and it like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, just keep practicing, keep being yourself. I mean, there's certain ways to do things that will make you better, as far as whether it's writing packages, like writing. When I have to write stuff for the web, they used to send it back and be like, "Rewrite this. Like, you're not a writer." Well, no, I have a math degree. Like, my only writing intensive courses in college were math writing intensive courses. Like, I can derive some equations for you, but don't tell me to write a paper, because I can't. So I just started writing as I spoke. I would record what I wanted to say on my phone and then listen to it back and type it out, or do the voice to text stuff. And then that's helped out a ton. And it cleans up a lot of weird words that you're not supposed to say. The the uhs, that stuff gets out of here when you're doing voice to text or whatever that is. So, man, that's a tough question. How to develop that skill?
Dude, that's plenty. What you just shared is, more than most. When I put them on the spot like that, I mean, that's not easy to, I didn't give Trent these questions ahead of time. So, I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking, well, he already answered. I was going to ask him about advice. You just gave advice within that answer or within that question. So, no, that's perfect, man. What do you think has been the most challenging? And again, you've already talked about some challenges that you faced. The challenge of, when your IFB fell out and had to ad-lib and mess with your chair, but, other challenges that come along the way since you've been in the business, anything that stands out to you, whether it be going after your next job, going after your first job, or when you're on air, whatever comes to mind. Talk about some challenges that you have faced and how you approach them and how you've been able to learn from them and get better.
And that's a tough, there's a lot of stuff going through my head right now. There's like personal challenges, like your own personal priorities. Like you got to figure that stuff out. Like, what I thought was important in West Texas wasn't important in Cleveland. Man, Leon Bibb, he's a Cleveland icon up here. Been on TV since, like 40, 50 years. And I was talking to him, I think it might've been on my interview. He kind of took me under his wing when I moved up here. the guy's just a stud. He said he actually told me the line. I stole it from him. The line about lights still burn out, microphones still go out, everything still, cameras still fall over here, but it's how you react to it. He said literally the only difference between being 22 in market 150 and being 32 in market 18 is that after the show here, we go home. After the show and market whatever, you go out. Everybody goes out. And so that was a big difference. Like, where do you, and it's just different. Like, it's a different priorities. Is your priority to go out and just be rowdy? I mean, or is it to be professional? Because everybody's watching. There's been a couple times when I've had too much to drink or something. I'm walking out of like a Mexican restaurant or something after too many margaritas, and like a little kid walks up. That's like the most like heart-wrenching thing. It was when like a 6-year-old comes up. Oh, hi Trent, I love you. I watch you all the time. And it's just like, I am annihilated. This is terrible. Like but it happens. So now I don't do that when I go out, you know? So you got to make mistakes to like learn from them. And of course, like wasn't like an idiot to this kid or anything. Like, it makes you act right real quick, but priorities, that's a big challenge, was a big challenge getting, you know, growing up. Stress. I mean, you know, the demands, the time commitments, you've got a deadline to hit. If you don't hit it, like, you're done. Like, you don't get many chances to screw up before you're done. And if it's a big enough screw up, you don't get any more chances. So, deadlines, weather challenges, that I won't get too into deep with this. Forecasting wise, the stuff we do behind the scenes is hours. This week in general, we've had like a half inch away from a record snowfall in Cleveland in 24 hours. Wow. And like a massive storm system. So 4 or 5 days leading up to it, we're just constant communication with the entire team. Coronavirus stuff has people like locked out of the building. So that's long hours for the few that can still go into the building. It's a challenge. I mean, I would say priorities and stress are probably some of the biggest challenges. And it's really hard to separate work from home. And I don't mean like just cut off, like completely walk out the door, you shut your phone off, because that's not going to be right. I would say just kind of moderation of how you deal with stress.
That's good stuff. And yet, in a busy week like this, here Trent is giving us his time, people. So again, I appreciate just that. So we're going to end with what I've been waiting to ask you, because this guy has so many good, you know, blooper clips, because his bloopers aren't even bloopers because he pokes fun at the bloopers while he's doing it. So it's almost like they don't even constitute as bloopers just because of how he handles himself on air. So Trent, if you can name, I don't know, whatever comes to mind as far as most embarrassing TV moments, because again, the way you handle things is like no one else that I've seen handle things on live television. And it all goes back to, look, things happen. It's all about how you react. And you handle that as well as anyone. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here. I'm saying that because I've seen you do it firsthand, and you still do it to this day. And it's all how you handle it. So what comes to mind? Some of those instances that you can share with us.
I mean, there's countless, honestly. Like, I screw up every single weathercast. I hide it. And if it's not something you can hide, you got to laugh at it. I mean, we're human. You can't hide a laugh. If you want to laugh, then laugh. If you're embarrassed, then say, wow, that was embarrassing. Like, oh man. Let me try to think here. Man, I've done so much stupid stuff on air before. I've fallen, I've tripped, I've ran into the camera guy before. I did a spin move around a camera. We got this guy that holds he's got like a jib thing that like straps to his chest, and he's got the camera and he's holding it out. And I could have swore they said go like around him to the left or the right. We're not going to take the next camera until you get to this spot. And I couldn't remember, and I figured they would tell me eventually, so I just kept walking straight at him. and there was no way this way or no way this way to get around him. So I just kept walking straight at him, straight at him, straight at him. And I see his eyes getting bigger and bigger, and he starts backpedaling. And I was like, bro, I don't know which way to go, man. You're going to have to point me whichever way you go. Sure enough, went into the camera and just like spin moved around him or whatever and just went to the wall. Harlem Globetrotters are always bloopers when they come on the morning shows. Balls flying everywhere. I can't pick them out. Somebody was actually, this just popped up today on my Twitter feed. A year ago, the next story up was about like service animals and how people are using other animals as service animals. And so somebody was Googling miniature horses behind the sets. And that was up on my computer, like my screen that I was doing the weather on. And so I'm standing there with the weather here, and right here, like I see this screen and it was Google, and I see somebody typing, and I was like, oh no, who's Googling? Like who's doing this? And it says, what are miniature horses? And I was like, time out. We got to stop the news for a second. Who is Googling miniature horses? And I just lost it. I couldn't breathe. My eyes were watering. My face was red. And they're like, you need to get this together. And I was like, I can't. I need to know. We need to get to the bottom of this. Skip weather. This is important. What's happening?
Investigative reporter Trent Magill / meteorologist, right?
And don't try to hide stuff. Like people can see it. We're not, I mean, we're just be the same as you are anywhere. That's great. Bloopers every day, man.
That's awesome. And the fact that you own up to them, like you said, that's the best part of it. Look, when a mistake happens, acknowledge it. I can remember one time when I tried to run onto set. So anybody watches this, never run onto set. Lost my breath, and I had a choice. And I told the viewer I can either, face plant on the desk, and try to keep on talking, or just tell them like, look, I need a second to catch my breath. Like it felt like an eternity just sitting there trying to catch my breath, but trying to read the highlights, that wasn't going to work. That was either going to face plant into it. So you always acknowledge it, and you still to this day, and you poke fun of it. And that's clearly why people, like you and want to be around you and be part of, want you to be part of their team, as opposed to, I mean, you think about it, most times people have to send out resumes. Very rarely are, the select few chosen. So,
oh man,
again, a testament to you, man.
I sent out probably 150 VHS and DVD tapes for that first job.
Yeah.
I got 2 callbacks. One guy said, you have until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning to tell me yes or no. And then the other one was Midland. I was like, bro, no. So yeah, as you know, you just got to do what you got to do. Keep sending it out.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that too, because people think, well, maybe he just has, God's gift to being a meteorologist. It's like, no, he did his due diligence. He sent them all over the place, got 2 responses. At the end of the day, all you need is 1 yes, and then from there, the same thing. All you need is one more yes. So
I had an agent legitimately tell me to never contact him or his company again. Like it was a friend of a friend, like one of my good friends' agent, essentially. And he's like, oh yeah, I've seen your stuff through your buddy's stuff. Send me a tape. I'll take it to my partners. And then we'll represent you. I was like, sweet. I sent him some stuff, and he didn't look at it before he showed it to his partners. And then he showed it to his partners, and he was embarrassed. He was like, I took this to like my partners at this company, and it was terrible, man. Like, never call me. You should probably switch jobs. You like, this is like, I was like, what? Okay, fair enough. I'll go somewhere else. Have thick skin.
You'll be wanted somewhere, and you were. Midland, Texas, and then Midland to Cleveland. Can't get over that, right? Knoxville back to Cleveland.
Knoxville back.
Trent, I appreciate you, man. It's great to see you, even if it's in this virtual space. One day maybe I'm traveling up north, and you'll be popping on my hotel screen like you did that one day when I was passing through Knoxville. So appreciate you, man. It's great to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, man.
And thank you for checking out this channel. If you found this content beneficial, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone you think might find it beneficial as well, because this channel was simply started and created to serve you, to help others grow, to learn how other successful TV journalists do or did it, So take what serves you so you can get better faster and reach your next level.